on this computer. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of the Coastal CMConCast podcast. Each edition is a compilation of 5 daily features from my book blog, wrapped up into one fantastic author chat. You're seeing the video of this conversation during our 2022 virtual convention, and the audio version will magically become a podcast sometime in the future. I'm lucky enough to be joined by the fabulous Tonya Kappes, who has written more books than I can count on all of my hands and feet, and they are hilarious. Her official bio says, Tonya Kappes has written more than 175 Southern Cozy Mysteries, all of which have graced numerous bestseller lists, including the USA Today and Women's World Book Club pick twice. Best known for stories charged with Southern charm, emotion, and humor, and filled with flawed characters, her novels have garnered reader praise and glowing critical reviews. She lives with her husband in Northern Kentucky, and now that her 4 boys have flown out of the nest, Tonya writes full-time in her camper. You can find her all over social media and at TonyaKappes.com. Yay! Hello, Tonya.
You make it sound so glamorous.
Well, it's interesting, if not glamorous.
Yeah, some people like writing in a camper. That sounds like so much fun. You also have to clean it. It's like having another house, but I do love it.
But it's a tiny little house and it's cute.
It is, and it has a heater and a bed for napping. So when I'm in there, nobody knows that I'm napping or if I'm working.
That is a magical thing right there. That is
and a TV and a refrigerator.
Yeah, see, that sounds pretty glamorous to me. I'd be happy to have that space.
It's fun.
And magic comes out of it.
It does.
Right? I love it. I love it. Does your camper have a name?
The Shamper, the She Camper.
There
I even
go.
have a reader sent me a decal for it that says Shamper in pink, and it's right on there.
That's fantastic. I love it. Okay, So we are going to have a chat. I have stolen from myself. I took the 5 features from my book blog and stolen them for this conversation, and we are going to go through those 5 features very quickly in our little chat. And awesome. So the first feature that we are going to talk about is what we normally would have Words of Music Monday. So basically it's about the music that you may or may not listen to when you write, or theme songs for characters, or book playlists, or any of that kind of stuff. Some authors really involve music and some don't. So where do you follow that spectrum?
I don't put music on. I do writing sprints. And so I have to have it just kind of quiet my world. And the reason is because I love music. I mean, my family loves music. As a matter of fact, I live up in the mountains of the Ohio Valley, and across the river from me is a music venue called Riverbend in Cincinnati. Cool. And so we have, there's somebody coming this Friday, a big country singer, but it's an outside venue, and it's people gather at our house even before we built it just to see.
Super cool.
Like, Maroon 5, like they're big names. They're not just like these little names. It's huge concerts. Jimmy Buffett's concert is always huge. And you see all the boats line up over the river. But the thing is, I love to sing, and I cannot sing and write at the same time. Now, I'm a jazzerciser, and I go to jazzercise every morning, and I am known for singing all the songs as I'm doing jazzercise.
That's fantastic.
It's like a root, it's like that root or rote or whatever, however you want to say it, movement. And so I do love to sing. I love music. It's just I can't write to it. And so during jazzercise, in order to keep their certification up to teach the class, they have to videotape 1 or 2 of their classes. So the jazzercise instructors are always like, Tonya, can you please come so you can sing? And it sounds like we're having so much fun. But I'm not a good singer. It just gets me through jazzercise.
Right.
I wish that it was as easy as I wish that writing a book was easy as jazzercise is to me, and singing my way through. But unfortunately, it takes a little bit more concentration than a lot for. It's singing.
Yeah.
So I don't. So I do 2 hours of uninterrupted silence.
Wow.
Except for the 25-minute timer that goes off for my sprints.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, when
And
I'm trying to do blog stuff, I can have music playing that doesn't have words, which
oh
is
yeah,
what I generally do. Like I'll have jazz playing or some kind of world music or something like that, or even soundtracks. But
yeah.
I can't have anything with words because I do the same thing. I sing along and then I have no idea what I'm trying to do.
Bonus track.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So part 2 of our chat is 10 Thing Tuesday. So 10 things in a list. So what is your list? What are you sharing with us today?
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna have to pull my list up because I did cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the thing to see what I needed to do here for this. And I'm like, oh
Well,
my gosh, 10 things. So okay, so I write cozy mysteries, as you know. So one of my things is that most people in my books are named after real life people. They aren't modeled after them, but named after. And
gotcha.
I come up with some fun names. There's a guy from my hometown named Eggs Wilhoit. There was one in my book called, her name is Chicken Teeter, but I changed the last name because she still has family living.
Oh,
And she
goodness.
was an 80-year-old moonshiner that when I was a kid, we would drive down to the Kentucky River in our green station wagon that grew mushrooms on the floorboard. And I would be in that very back seat facing the back windshield,
Yep.
no type of seatbelts. This is in 70. We would go down to the river where we would meet her and get some moonshine and stick in the back of our car.
That is fantastic.
And since
That
I
is
write Southern
fantastic.
cozy mysteries, you can't get more Southern than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay.
And another one is that we do have our own family moonshine still. It's in
Nice.
a barn on some property at home. It used to be illegal. It's not so much illegal anymore, but I guess if I was to sell it, it might be illegal. But we can fire that baby up on a weekend and get some good moonshine.
There you go.
The weekend. So that's a good one.
I can't even begin to imagine what a Kappes family moonshine party must be like.
Oh my gosh. So every Christmas you can buy little tiny ball glass jars like that big. So we have 86 relatives down home. And so we'll line up 86 of those little things and we'll pour moonshine and we all have to take a shot at Christmas.
That is fantastic. That is
Crazy.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
all right.
so
What's our number 3?
Number 3 is that when I was younger in the 80s, I followed the Grateful Dead for a couple of years.
That's cool.
I know that sounds really awful for some people because they with it, but I loved it. And I had a car and my mom would be like, why do you do that? She'd cry like, why do you give me the money in my account? I don't have to make cheese sandwiches like most of the deadheads to sell to get to the next concert. But I was lucky enough to see Jerry Garcia in several like in a field, so that was an experience. I loved it and I still love all their songs. And my kids really thought it was cool when I had all my vintage t-shirts and they got to pass those down to
fantastic.
So another thing is that outside of the Grateful Dead, I am a health nut. I watch my because I had a health scare with cholesterol and diabetes years ago. So I ended up having to lose like 40 something pounds. And so I want to, again, a lot of people that follow me know that recently I've had a lot of family health sicknesses from my parents. And, I just want to break that DNA cycle. So I've been following that for the past 20 years.
Good.
And I started that in my 30s. I'm in my 50s now. So, I try to be as healthy as I can.
Cool.
The 5th one is that I play the piano. A lot of people don't know that.
Very cool.
I took piano lessons for 14 years.
Good.
I play as quickly as I talk. She used to say I was a chipmunk on speed. So I'd be like, because she would say, okay, Tonya, play the recital piece. And I would play it like it was supposed to be, it was killing me. I'm like, and then she'd say, okay, now we're going to let Tonya play the way she likes to play it. I'd be like, I'd zip through it. So, so I don't do anything half-hearted.
I'm surprised she didn't pick faster songs for you.
Oh, not during recital. It had to be the classical pieces, but another interesting fact, I guess, is number 6, is, for cozy mysteries, I don't research how to kill somebody in real life. Like I will look it up, like, oh, what about the blood splatter, this, that, and the other.
Right.
And I can't take it. I can't take that. Like if you're writing a romance, you're like, oh, how'd that make me feel when I fell in love or got that or had that happen? I can't necessarily have those feelings because I'm killing people. So in a cozy mystery, your amateur sleuth or your armchair sleuth, they might have like a hobby.
Right.
So in two of my books, I have one that is a baker, and then of course that's pretty typical, and one that is a barista that owns a coffee house. So I did take baking lessons and cake decorating lessons, which I'm not good at. Not good at. No, not good at. I will still continue to purchase those. I will never bake in my life. And then I actually took a really cool coffee roasting class at a local roastery. So that was really fun. I mean, we did it from when the beans came into the country in their big bags to actually finally getting to taste them. So my husband and I did that together. So that was a lot of fun.
That is fun.
Yeah. And I love that.
So are you a big coffee drinker?
Oh my, huge, all day long, all day long, all day long.
So how much of that class information do you currently use? Like, do you have your own roaster?
I don't, but I do sometimes will go to that same coffee hot house. I'm over in Cincinnati, and I'll buy some of the beans. Like when we roasted our own beans, we got to bring those home with us. Right. And so, they were like, oh, you have to grind them. I'm like, okay, I'll just get Folgers. But anyway, so I did get a little grinder. And so if I really want a really nice, strong cup of coffee, a pour over, then I will do that. But namely, I'm pretty easy. But I do like a good cup of coffee. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
And let's see, another one about mystery is that, you don't have to know a lot about guns, but I do pack heat. I have a conceal and carry permit, which some people are like, oh my gosh. But it's just a way of life in Kentucky. It's a way of life here. It has nothing to do with no politics or anything like that. But I do know something about a gun. Cool. I know how to clean it. I know how to properly store it.
As well you should. Yeah, absolutely.
So that also comes in handy with writing my mysteries as well.
I bet.
And let's see, also in my mysteries are Southern. So another thing about me that plays, because everything like kind of plays into my books, is that my mother is a very Southern mama. And when I was in high school, to be able to be presented, I had to take manners classes. Now, I also was voted class clown and most talkative. So you can only imagine how I acted in manners class. I hated it.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Did you enjoy it at all? Like, was it fun? Or was it just horrible?
I hated it. But so interestingly enough, have you ever seen the movie The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock? She was the mother of the football player.
Yeah, I think I did when it first came out.
Yeah, so she was very protective of her family, but used good manners in doing it. And so when that movie came out, my kids were in high school, but they're in their 20s now. And so they, all their friends were like, oh my God, your mom reminds me of that woman in the movie. And so, because I would have a manners and bless your heart, and I would teach it to my kids as well.
Right.
Ma'am, you stand up, you take off your hat.
Right.
And so just this weekend, I was around some people that are like, oh my God, Tonya, did you ever see the movie The Blind Side? You remind me of her so much.
That's fantastic.
Very cool. I guess it's followed me in life. I just haven't really, I guess it's just ingrained at this point to where I don't have to think about it. So
right. Well, yeah.
Let's see. And then like another thing, like the ninth thing I said was when I was younger, I would play outside all the time, as we did, because we didn't have, any kind of video games or anything like that. And we like to grill out a lot. And at that time it was no gas grills. They were just charcoal. And my dog and I were playing fetch, and I threw the ball, he ran, and I ran to get the ball with him. And we hit the grill, and the whole grill, coals and all, fell on me. And so I had to undergo a lot of, I was lucky, that I didn't have, I just have a lot of scarring on my body.
Right.
And so that's an interesting fun fact. I thought that
Yeah.
nobody would ever know. So
Well, it stinks that happened, but it is something, I mean, imagine somehow, somewhere that could come into a story.
Oh, I'm sure it could. You never know. But I remember faintly this kid that lived next door to us, Mike Johns was his name. And he was yelling, oh my God, Tanya's dying. Like he was going up and down the street yelling, Tanya's dying. And then another story about Mike Johns, another time, this is the only 2 times I ever saw him run up and down our street was when Elvis died. And his mama and my mama were crying. He was running up down the street yelling, Elvis died. Isn't that crazy? I'm thinking
a town crier.
He was a town crier. We kill those off in books. Yeah. And I guess the 10th thing, I was just like, well, there's not really much more interesting about that. That's just you see what you get.
But you know what?
You get what you see. That's what it
enough. That's enough.
Yeah, we'll see.
We like it. We like it. Okay. So our Wednesday feature is our WWW Wednesday, which is basically a chance to talk about something interesting that you saw online this week, or recently. It doesn't have to be this week. It could be anytime, but just something that caught your attention, either something funny or something poignant or something that made you think or something that taught you something. So what have you seen running around the internets lately that caught your attention?
So I'm always looking for so as a Southern, there's a church on every corner. I mean, as a joke in my Patreon group, like I've literally walked through my town and just walked and videotaped. And I mean, literally there's a church on every corner. And so it does play a part, growing up in a Southern town. Right. And so of course I do have churches in my Cozy Mysteries. And so much so that I even had one of the preachers be the murderer in one book.
Oh, wow.
Like they're not above the law, right?
Right.
So
absolutely.
I'm always trying to find like shocking things. So just this week, my sister had sent me a text and she said, oh my gosh, you've got to, we had seen this a year ago when this lady and her husband, her name was Gwen Shamblin, and her husband were leaders of this church called the Remnant Fellowship in Tennessee. And people knew her because she was kind of like Tammy Faye. She had the big bouffant, the makeup. They were fairly young, and they were going somewhere on an airplane, like on their private airplane, and they wrecked and they died. They had an airplane crash. But things are starting to come out because there were some things already in the, there were already rumbles and mumbles that this was like a cult, that their church was based on weight loss and God only loved you. They called them the religious weight loss group. So that's what they followed. And like, she was like emaciated. She was like no bigger than a cake of soap. She was 2-dimensional. So you couldn't even see her. And so things are coming out this week about people that were members of this church. And because without the leaders, what's happening? They're probably kind of imploding.
Everything's kind of falling apart. Yeah.
So I started following that this week because there is definitely a murder somewhere in there. Maybe.
Oh, goodness.
Maybe they were murdered. Maybe the plane didn't go down because of the fog, but
maybe there was some underhandedness happening.
You don't know. But my little mind, when she sent me that, was like,
that's how it works. That's how it works.
There's abuse, child abuse, scandal. Like she would like advise parents not to feed their children. I mean, this family, I mean, they were bigger. They were like when they were on Larry King Live, and like when Tyra Banks had her show, she was on Tyra Banks' show. So they were pretty well known in this little town. But I just find that, interesting. Another thing that I have watched was that Anna Devney, Inside Anna or Inventing Anna on Netflix. How fascinating.
Really?
Yes. And so she conned all these people, and she somehow convinced them that she was a heiress of $10 million from either Russia or Germany or something.
Goodness gracious.
I could be wrong. But anyway, so I've been kind of watching that it's a documentary. And so the girl that plays Ruth in Ozark is the main character in this docuseries. by
Gotcha.
Chandra Rhimes had redone it
Gotcha.
had done this. So that's just real, because I also wrote about, like, my camper series is based on, the very first book is based on a Ponzi scheme. And this is
Right.
exactly what she did. So it's fascinating to me, that this kind of
Mhm.
stuff just continues to go on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all book fodder at some
Oh,
point.
it is. It's great. I mean, it's just such good material, even just a piece of it. Like, even if I just take just one little piece of it,
One little nugget.
I can really turn that into something, right?
Yeah, I bet. So we need to watch and see which bits and pieces end up in future books.
That's right.
There you go. All right. So our Thursday feature is reviews, as you do as a book blog. So when you have time to write, to read, I know you write pretty much constantly, but when you have time to read, what's something that you read recently that you really enjoyed?
Well, I've got two things. I always try to read nonfiction.
Okay.
Always. So currently, I have another book club and we're reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. Awesome. This will be the second time. This is the second time that I have read this book and thinking, so what James Clear does is he gives, like, I'm a planner person.
Mhm.
I mean, I have a million planners. I mean, I have Mari here. I have the content planner with all the social media in it. Whoops, there goes some stuff. all out. That's okay. It all fell out here. But anyway, so I have all my content is planned. I'm just playing everything. And so all of it's kind of become, habit. And he talks about how just changing one tiny thing and keeping it consistent creates healthy habits. And it talks about bad habits too, and what habits you need to drop and what habits to fit your life. So that's my current read that I'm doing with another book club. And then I have a Patreon, my own Patreon group, and we do book club. And and so we vote on it. It's not what I pick. And so and I also have an Amazon book club. I don't know if you've heard the Amazon, I have an Amazon book club. Cool. And so I think there's maybe like 600 or 700 members in that. And so I try to do the same book. It's on Amazon.com. I try to do the same book with each book club because it's just easier because I don't have the time, like I said, to read. So this month they picked Chocolate Covered Murder by Leslie Meyer. She is also I want to read her. So she has a cozy series, and it's really interesting. I cannot put together discussion questions. I always have to make the readers do it because I'm always dissecting where the author is in their life. Right. As they're writing a murder mystery. So for instance, I don't know if you know anything about anagrams and those kind of things, but Becca Symes. So my number one is belief. Okay. So like the preacher thing, like the Baptist thing, like I grew up Baptist. And so that's why they find their way into my books, because that's a belief of mine. Right. So Leslie Myers, I've never read a book by Leslie Myers, but I'm looking at this book and there are a lot of women empowerment, which is fine with me. But the point is like, wow, this is her belief, because I believe that this is her belief, or she wouldn't be putting those little bits in there. So I was like, oh my gosh, this could be a question. What do you think about but that's not really a book club question. But I find myself, as we have been doing this book club now for 2 years, as being the one to dissect, the author and their, not their writing, but where they are in their life when they're writing this book.
And you're in a unique position in your ability to kind of look at it from that perspective as well.
It's a strange, I didn't catch on to that until the second book club we had, and they're like, all your questions are kind of like authory questions, writerly questions. They're like, oh, okay.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. So those are the 2 books I'm reading currently.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. And then our Friday feature is basically just author chats, where you get to talk about what's going on with you in your world right now. So what have you got coming out recently? What came out recently? What have you got coming out soon? What's in the works? What's exciting? What can you tell us?
I have it in my office. I just don't have it with me. I could run and get it. I'll go get it. You just
Okay.
stay right there.
Okay. While she's doing that, this is what we have handy here at my house. We have a lot of Tonya's books in ebook, but this is the only book that we have in print that's handy. So that's what we'll show for right now. This is part of her camper series. It's lovely.
Well,
there you go.
So Vistas, Vices, and Valentines. So this was just come out in the series. And then this one comes out in a couple weeks, Barista Bump Off, which is the coffee series. And then I also, like I said, I have a Patreon group, and this is kind of, I guess, what you call writing to market, which is every cozy mystery reader loves a holiday book. And I really think that romance readers love holiday books.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I consistently write, again, planner and stay on the schedule, know my releases, but how do I write those extra releases? You know, because I love also holiday books. Again, Valentine's, right? And then the book I'm reading for our book club. So about October of last year, I just came up with a new series, and I have, you know, five really good series that I write in constantly. And so I got in touch with my cover artist. I said, well, here's what I want to do. I want to have books come out on the holidays, you know, set in the holiday settings. So we did 7 book covers, and it's called The Holiday Cozy Mystery, and it takes place in a town called Holiday Junction. And the theme or the motto is called Celebrate Good Crimes. And this is the first book called 4-Leaf Felony.
That is amazing.
Isn't that hilarious? Can you see it says Celebrate Good Crimes?
That's fantastic.
And so I have been writing this story, and this would be my 3rd serial for my Patreon group. So they are already on the chapter 9. So as I write it every day, it's called my second project. So in the morning, I write on my main project that's going out to the world to find whatever reader needs to escape for that book. And then my second project is this serial that I do for my Patreons, and then it'll be also put out into the world at another date. But it's really fun, and it's a lot of fun to write. And actually, it is a spinoff of a character from the camper series. And so that's making it equally fun. And so the readers are really loving it, and I can't wait for that to come out. So that's
super fun.
That's what I'm focusing on right now is the new series, and I light up when I even think about it. I'm enjoying it.
That makes me so happy. I love holiday books. I love holiday books.
So they are beautiful covers, and it's just exciting. So
very cool. Very cool.
It's fun. Thanks.
I love it. Okay, so we are at the end of our 5 features.
Well, I would love to do a giveaway to
someone. Let's do a giveaway.
So I definitely want to do a giveaway of a mystery, Tonya Kappes mystery package. So it's usually a couple of my books, a couple of my friends' books, some swag, a book tote. So however you want to give it away, you let me know, and you give it away, and you pick the winner, and you tell me, and I'll ship it off.
I think what we're going to do is when this airs during the convention, if people will comment with their favorite holiday to read about in a book, and then we'll pick
the same thing. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, maybe I could have them say their favorite holiday in a book.
Yeah. Favorite holiday to read about in a book. Make that be the comments underneath this video. And then we'll wait like 24 hours after this airs, and then we'll pick a winner and send it on out.
Yeah, and let me know, because then I will put their name in the book.
That would be fantastic.
So we'll add that to it.
Very nice, very nice.
But they can't pick St. Patrick's Day, so that's a cheat.
That's a cheat, because we already know that was it.
Drinking holiday here. Not because that's already written. It's all right now. By the time this airs, it'll be written.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So that'll be it. So
awesome.
Thank you so much, Tonya.
I hope we get to do this in person next year.
I cannot wait for us to get back together in person. It's going to be so much fun, and people need hugs. I need a hug. And yes, thank you. And we all just need to get together and chill out and relax and talk about good stuff.
Yes.
Kind of
We
like
do.
this, only more.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Lots of
All
hugs.
right. All right, my dear. Well, thank you so
All
much.
right.
I really
Well,
appreciate
thank
it. We can
you.
find you on TonyaKappes.com.
Yep.
What about
Yeah.
other social media?
Oh, I'm everywhere. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. I'm on all of it.
All of it. All
And
righty.
Patreon. If you really want to dig in deep, it'd be Patreon. So
Sounds good. Sounds
all
good.
right.
Thank you so much, my
Thank
dear.
you.